Globalization is currently a subject of intense debate, with critics increasingly viewing its narratives as an ideological tool of a global elite rather than a purely economic process. While proponents present it as a natural outcome of progress and a vehicle for liberal values like democracy and individual opportunity, opponents argue it has been used to bypass national sovereignty, erode local cultures, and prioritize the interests of multinational corporations over ordinary citizens. The link between globalization and liberalism. Liberalism and progressivism are often used to frame globalization as a moral or historical inevitability. The liberal narrative. From a liberal perspective, globalization is the natural outcome of technological and economic changes that increase cooperation and interconnectivity. It is presented as a means to spread liberal democracy, create a global civil society, and foster peace through international cooperation. Criticism of virtue signaling. Some critics argue that centrist liberals use progressive language to signal their virtue, while simultaneously profiting from the social and economic inequalities created by globalized systems. Ideological hegemony. The Washington Consensus, a set of free market policies adopted in the 1980s, has been criticized as an ideological tool used by international institutions like the IMF and World Bank to impose Western economic models on developing nations, often prioritizing wealthy nations' interests. Arguments for brainwashing and narrative control. The perception that people are being manipulated into accepting globalization stems from several observed trends in how it is promoted and its actual effects. Erosion of agency. Many people feel a lack of agency as decisions shaping their lives are made by distant bureaucrats in central banks or multinational boardrooms, leading to a sense of being disconnected from power. Media and cultural influence. In some regions, especially Arab and Muslim countries, Western control of media is viewed as a form of brainwashing intended to strip young people of their national and cultural heritage in favor of a secularized Americanism. Educational shifts. Educational policies in many nations have shifted to emphasize marketability and efficiency over traditional soft skills, effectively restructuring education on market principles to produce individuals who are competitive in a globalized world. Discontents and the globalization. Backlash. The gap between the promised benefits of globalization and the lived reality of many has fueled a significant backlash. Economic disparity. Globalization has been criticized for making a small global elite very rich while hurting working-class communities, leading to job losses in manufacturing and downward pressure on wages for those without college degrees. Loss of sovereignty. Critics point out that international trade and organizations limit the ability of nation-states to control their own domestic economies, effectively eroding state sovereignty. Cultural homogenization. The spread of a global culture dominated by Western consumerism has led to the disappearance of unique cultural practices and the death of minority languages. Rise of populism. The failure of center-left governments to challenge the economic status quo of globalization has been cited as a primary driver for the rise of anti-immigrant nationalism and populist movements. Here's a quick summary of the competing narratives around globalization. Sovereignty. Pro. Cooperation between states for mutual gain. Anti. Erosion of national power by corporations. By NGOs. Culture. Pro. Exposure to diversity and social progress. Anti. Cultural homogenization and loss of identity. Economy. Pro. Increased wealth lifting billions from poverty. Anti. Rising inequality and labor exploitation. Ideology. Pro. Liberalism and progress as a force for good. Anti. Neoliberalism used as a tool for hegemony. Subscribe for weekly Smart Economy breakdowns. Like, share, and comment your take. Hit the bell so you never miss a new upload.